Ndị iche nwoke ndị iche nwaanyị agbara m eji eme ụzọ eme ọgụ na-eme mgbe ọ gbara ike dibịa dị mgbe ekele m n'uju unu mma sị n'ụbọchị taa agba okwu na anyị na-ekwu ya gazie anyị gbachụọ chụwa Good evening, beloved, wonderful brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers out there. I've come this evening to bring you an important subject as concern our goal towards a successful, brilliant environmental change. I remain the convener of the Eastern Youth Network. Eastern Youth Network is a liberty and freedom movement that has to do with our culture and the future of the liberal mind. We are working on instruction from nobody than the great Amadioha, who has made us his messenger in this direction. I am here to affirm to you that even though the mobs of the Islamic combines, even though the bandits gathered together in their forces, even though the army colonized or collaborated with the colonial masters to stop the freedom of mankind, I want to assure you that here in this platform, we will always bring you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as information of fact, firm, and unshakable truth of this message. I want you to know that they cannot stop us. Regardless of how they want to do it, they cannot stop us. I want to tell you that this evening discussion has to do with the father and his principle of tithing. Tithing. Can someone speak and say tithing? That is an important part of today's lecture. I don't want you to believe or accept the fact of the preacher only in the Bible. I am very much happy and accept the calling or the way God kept me today. If it is the work of the devil, I will be glad and happy to embrace it unto my destruction. But if it is the God who spoke to Moses, who gave to Moses the staff, or who has given me the same staff that I proclaim, then I want to tell you that this is the way to salvation. Culture, tradition is the way to salvation. Man cannot be savaged under a strange cultural inheritance. Let me not dwell so much on analysis. Let me go straight to facts. Before I unveil the scripture and begin to teach this secret word about the ordinances of the Father and his words, what he means, I will not fail to pray and hand over this lecture unto God and to many of them who have come before us. I want every mind to focus on the rewritings of the book of the Bible in John chapter 17. On that note, as the high prince, I lift up my hand this evening, holding the staff of the Father. I call upon him. O rightful judge, Nnamdi Kanu have been going before the unrighteous judges of this nation, whose mind and purpose are under thy control. I fly to thee to forgive whatsoever transgression which might have led this wonderful and your ordained son to suffer these penalties again. Merciful, gracious, and compassionate God, help and deliver him from the teeth of wicked that rise up against him. Merciful judge, judge him according to the calling which thou hast given unto him, according to thy promise which thou hast made to restore the kingdom of Biafra. Whatsoever comes not unto thy will. According to the evil judges that stand before him, may they be put to shame, and may the country, Nigeria, collapse to the benefit of they who believe in thee. I am a poor sinner. Deliver me from my enemies and give Biafra victory, that we may ever praise thy glorious name forever, through thy Son, our Lord. Amen. Okay, we will proceed. I want to take the message from the book of Deuteronomy chapter 14. The Deuteronomy chapter 14 is discussing about tithing. And I want to relate this tithing onto our culture. What is tithe? Is tithe truly the money we go and dish to the pastors? Is tithe truly what the GOs claim? Sometimes in the scandal we observe that people pay tithe with company fund, claiming that they gave it to God, and the man of God receives such government money and other stolen monies and all that. What is actually this tithe? Is this tithe all about money? No, it is not all about money. And what is this tithe all about? We want to study this scripture. I want us to patiently read with me, and we will now go back to analyze this scripture. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 24 to 27. And I read. This message is as a result of the write-up of Reno Omokri. Omokri, I don't know how to pronounce, but I know Reno is there. Omokri, yes, it's Omokri. He tweeted, or he wrote in his Facebook page about tithe. And with that kind of information about tithe, it is misleading. It is misleading. And to put that misled information from Reno Omokri over the tithe of God is the prompt of this message, because it is my duty as a high priest to correct those infabulous messages or languages as regards to the things of the Father, because I am his high priest. That is one of my callings here on earth. Okay, listen and listen very well. I want to read from verse 24. He said, and if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, which the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into money, and bind up the money in thy hand, and shall go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose, and thou shalt bestow that money for whosoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth, and thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thy household. 27. He says, and the Levite that is within thy gate, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee. Thank you very much. Deuteronomy is discussing about the tithe. Let us take from the beginning. If your place is far, turn that thing, if you cannot carry it, into money. And then when you get there, buy anything with it. Oxen, sheep, strong drink. He did not say hand it over to the pastor. Then the Levite there, which will call Nishin Church, that the priest is the Levite there, that you should also grease his hand, because he is not a partaker of whatsoever thing you bring there. You see, what you give to the Levites is not the tithe, but rather you are offering, free will offering. Understand that passage. And then He said oxen. He is simply telling you that the place of God becomes the altar. And that thing, the oxen, the goat, the fowl, or the strong drink that will bring before the altar, that was sacrificed or that was used for libation, is you are tight with the Lord. You tighten with the Lord. And that thing too, which was used for that sacrifice, will be cooked. And you and your household that come with you and friends around there will partake of it. That is a similitude of dining with God. You see, in our tithe, we dine with God. That is, if you look into the scripture, technically and spiritually, you will discern that the place of worship of God or an altar is a place of sacrifice, is a place of libation, just like the Shiloh. A place of that God is the Shiloh. Remember, Abraham was going to Shiloh with his own meat to sacrifice. And then when they get to Shiloh, there is a place called Shuel. I have taught this lesson before. So in Shuel is where those sacrifices are made. In Shiloh. So everybody that comes to Shiloh will eat, feed, and be satisfied. Don't buy food. Those things that the people bring to the place of the worship of God or the place of the sacrifice of God is what will be cooked, fixed, and served everybody. It becomes a communion with God. The leftover will be used as coolers, as feeding, as people come to the abode of God and go, they eat and be satisfied. They don't go hungry. This is how the tithe is to be utilized. People's out of free will donation, the house of God is built. Out of the strength of man, the house of God is built. The tithe is not being used for the house of God. He said, bring ye all your tithe into my storehouse, that there might be meat. He did not say that there might be money. He did not say that there might be house. The house is the labor of man unto God, while the tithe is the service of God or of man unto God. They are inseparably connected in the act of geometrical exercise of God. It's geometry. All what we do is geometry. And now, that is why he is the great geometrician. Now, if we look into this passage very well, you will also discern that there is always a place prepared for the service of God, for the sacrifices to be taken to, for the tithe of God to be taken to, not to the preacher, not to the pastor. It is not the money you give in the church. In fact, that money is not tithe. It's just that pastor money. You did not tithe with God. You did not dine with God. You have only paid him for his social prowess towards you and encouraging you to understand the word. You paid him. That is why you are the goose in his warehouse. You out there, you are the goose that Oyedepo will keep in his warehouse. That portion that you are standing clapping, he is making money for Oyedepo. I am a trade analyst, and I will speak to you with understanding of goose. You are the goose in Oyedepo's warehouse. You are the goose in Winner's warehouse. You are the goose in Redeem warehouse. You are the goose that they stock in their warehouse. That space of that chair you sit, you pay for it. And they become rich and richer. So you are the commodity that they can transport using your psyche attached with the metaphysical ideology of mankind. And so you become prey, being moved about by every wind of their useless language, deceiving you here and there and making you not to understand your faith and stand by your faith towards worshiping and serving your God. We are talking about tithing. Tithing becomes the fruit of our relationship with God, which has to do with his ordinances and liberatory obligations. That is what tithe is all about. Tithe is the role of man in the ordinances of God and his obligatory libations. Nobody have defined it. I have defined it to you. I am the high priest of the Father. I am the man who bears the fourth seal of the Father. I am the God of this earth. I did not reserve any apology. I have announced myself. The 9 angels of power governing, the 9 governing angels of power, starting from Seraphim to the least angelus, serve under my command. The 7 spirits of the 7 kingdoms serve under my command. I rule over the kingdoms of the Father. I am he whom the Father have sent, and I will teach you the right thing. What you hear from me, you cannot hear it anywhere. It is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I reserve no apology. I have announced myself to you today. That is why I am the Amadioha in the flesh. I will not teach you what is not the right thing. Your sacrifices is required before the altar of God. And I am the only man standing on earth today who can take that to God. Any person can offer sacrifice to spirits. I offer unto God. And when I offer unto God, I command the spirits to do what I want them to do. That is why I am the supreme order. I am the supreme authority of all supreme order existing here on earth. Anything beneath the earth, I rule over it. Anything above, I rule over it. For the Father, I am not bragging. I am telling you, Jesus Christ announced himself when he was here on earth. I am announcing myself to you today. The God of the earth has come to the earth, and I'm teaching you what the tithe means. The tithe is not because you took your money to a pastor and the pastor took it and prayed for you. No, you have just given an arm towards the work of God. It's not your tithe. Your tithe has to do with the sacrificial bond of your liberatory obligation towards God. That sacrifice, that bond is the tithe. It's not the money. So are you tied with God? No pastor can offer such right unto God. No pastor, no other person has the right to present a tithe to God except the high priest. Tell me, is the high priest. The high priest in the order of the church and in the high priest in the order of the tradition. And what does the high priest do? He offers the prayers while the high priest do the sacrifices. Because he is the messenger as a priest, as a high priest. He is a messenger to the people. Why the high priest is the mouthpiece and the seer of God. The Father himself. The Father himself made him his power replica in the position of the high priest. Why the Son make his power replica in the position of the high priest. These two are inseparably connected, but they are like wisdom and money. These two is like wisdom and money. The high prince and the high priest is like wisdom and money. They do the same thing, but one is greater than the other. Did you understand my language today? So I want you to know that the tithe that we pay, because we do not do it right, we are now facing the wrath of it instead of getting the blessings. Because we have heard. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of darkness in high places. Who is that rulers of darkness in high places that you and I see today? He is the night. He is the night. He is the night. The night is that ruler of darkness in the high places. Okay, we'll continue. We are not interested in what you think, but I am interested in the message that I sent out unto you, so that you will understand that our Father really have sent us, and we will do that which he has commanded us to do. We do not mean to hurt anybody, but rather we want to see that all mankind understand the true nature of the Father and worship him in same direction. We are not against your belief, neither do we say that your belief is not what it's supposed to be, but we are telling you that to every belief there is the anchor. As an akashilangufia, hand grew from the shoulder, hand did not grow from the arm. Hand grew from the shoulder. So the spirit that they tell you that his hand grew from the arm does not exist. The spirit that exists is the one that his hand grew from the shoulder, multiple hands. Hand doesn't grow from here. That is evil. Okay, let us proceed. I'm revealing information to you so that you know who we are and where we are coming from. The sanctuary of my abode is the seraphim. I announce it the second time. And whatsoever thing I bring before you is the truth. It's a fact, a firm and unshakable truth. Research your books and you will know what we are saying. So where we are is to see that the human family is organized into the proper and direct way of approaching the Father by ordinances, which in our culture as an Igbo man, we call them ordinana. Ordinana is the ordinances. Those ordinana, what are those ordinances? In the like ordinances of baptism is ordinana. In Dominican Igbo is there. Ordinances of the dead receiving right. In the Dominican Igbo is there. So these things are being transformed into an Englishman language to confuse you and I. And what the Englishman wrote is what he understands concerning the record of our fathers. But we, the Igbos, are the only people that can interpret it. We are the only people that can interpret it. Let me tell you again, the Old Testament, I have confirmed, and I know it to be the truth, is the history of our ancient fathers, the Igbos. The New Testament is the fulfillment of what our ancient fathers has been prophesying and teaching. The Book of Mormon is a branch of our brothers who left to the Western Hemisphere and kept the record of their forefathers unto and the dealings of the same God that they called over there, and he answered them, beginning with a rock. I have found the scrolls of Abraham, I have found the scrolls of Moses and the scrolls of Solomon. All these men who have called God were all practical, cultural, and traditional luminaries who, in their effort, created one thing or the other, of which, if you are a good spiritual analyst, you will know that the square box existed from somewhere. It existed from Igbo culture. And I want to tell you that the Bible is Igbo culture. And I am bringing it to your understanding using our culture. And if culture is one, then Igbo is the mother culture of all culture. Go into it from Ghana, anywhere, all over the African coast, down to the west, the east, the north, the south. All culture you see, all traditional way of worship are all centered in the mother culture of Igbo land. The only difference is that they approach it. Some cut it from half and went down. Some cut it from half here and went up. Some begin from up and come down. Some begin from down and went up. So it was zig, zag, and zagazi. So we do not only understand it, but I tell you, what Indian man practice is what my father left. What Hausa man, the Islam practice, is what my fathers left. So they steal from us to destroy the world with what our fathers have kept down. They now begin to psych out psychologically extract the philosophies of our father into their own philosophies and then bring it as a refined way and system of leadership into humanity again to torture and humiliate mankind. Where the world was meant to elevate mankind. So today, I want you to remember our main mission. That the message that was given to you when we begin our mission as Eastern Youth, our message says, for the God Elohim, for the God Elohasabot said, a new Nigeria with 3 presidents will emerge, that will born a new nation. The turnaround will cause the first to be the last and the last to be the first. The East has been marginalized, destroyed, and separated from one another. What is your position in the new nation as an Eastern youth? This is our message. And when we gave you this message, there was no Tinubu, Atiku, and Peter Obi. Today, the signs of what we told you is playing out. Since the beginning of the history of Nigeria, if someone can tell me out there that I'm not correct, there have not been a time these three groups or three ethnic groups provide presidents each. Today, the East has a candidate contesting, the Yoruba has a candidate contesting, the Hausa has a candidate contesting, the Igbo has a candidate contesting. Three presidents. And the outcome of the turnaround that Amadioha have set, we don't know how it's going to be, that will cause each region to be represented by Mr. President. So let me not dwell more politically, but I just want to bring you to the mission of Eastern Youth Network. So tithing is the message of today, that the tithe we tithe with Lord is the sacrifices we perform at the altar of God, not the prayers we pray with money. It's not tithe. Not the money we drop at the altar. It's not tithe. That tithe was being used to feed everybody. It's not for anything than to feed the children of God and to provide for them to win the work of God. That is what the tithe money is being used for. That is why when you go to a native doctor, the real native doctor will not keep the goat that you brought for your sacrifice. He will be killed for your work, and the blood will be used as directed, and the meat will be made available. Even you will eat, and those that come will also eat. He will not keep it in his storehouse. And then the meat will be now stored. He didn't say store the treasures. He said that there might be meat in mind. So the meat, not the treasures. When it's alive, it's a treasure. When it has been butchered, it becomes a meat. So it will be dried and the house will be filled with meat. When someone comes, he will be fed, he will eat, and he will go home happy and satisfied while he performs his ordinances to God. This is what happens in Shiloh, that is what happens in Shoel, and that is what this Deuteronomy is trying to teach you and I. I will not quote other scriptures as lined up by Reno or Mokre into 10 places, but I just picked one at this number 2 quote and want to elaborate on that one for you now to go home and study this scripture, tracing them with this, and you will understand what tithe is all about. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening to me this evening. I wish you well. I'm your humble servant, the messenger of Amadioha, Dr. Charles Chukwuemeka Amanze. Subscribe with us. I love you.